Hello my dear students and dear colleagues. This is the third lecture on atomic orbital. You know, the first lecture was on Schrodinger wave equation and the second lecture was on radial part of wave function, and this lecture will be on angular part of wave function. So if you want to deep inside this lecture, my suggestion is first you listen the first two lecture, then come to this lecture. The links of the first two lectures is written in the description section. Now, you know that any point P can be defined in the three-dimensional space as the function of r, theta, phi. What is r? This is your point P. R is the radial distance from the nucleus. So this is your r. Here the value of r is in between 0 to infinity. And theta is the angle between the z-axis and the radial vector r. So this is theta. In the polar coordinate definition, the value of theta is in between 0 to 180 degree. That is, theta may be this, 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 this and this. You see, this is the maximum limit of theta. That is 180 degree. And phi is the angle between this diagonal and the x-axis. This is your phi. And the limit of phi is in between 0 degree to 360 degree. That is, phi may be this, 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 this. You see, at this point phi is 90 degree. This, 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 and finally this. So this is your phi. Now, you know, the wave function of atomic orbital can be expressed as the product of radial part of wave function and angular part of wave function. And the radial part of wave function depends on the radial vector r. From the RDA versus R plot, suppose this is the RDA versus R plot for 2p orbital. And from this plot, you can get the answer of this question. That is, your question is, what is the probability of finding an electron into the small space dv? Suppose dv is the space in between radius r and r plus dr. Then from the previous video, you know the probability of finding an electron into this space is this. This is the probability of finding an electron into small space dv. Now question is, you see, if this is your r and this is r plus dr, then the direction of dv is in all direction, maybe at that direction, at that direction and at that direction. Now my question is, in what direction of dv this electron cloud is available? That is, your question is, in what direction of dv the electron cloud is available. The radial part is clearly silent about the answer of this question, and you will find the answer of this question from the radial part of wave function. That is, until you define the value of theta and phi, you do not understood the direction of the dv. That is, at what direction of dv the electron cloud is available. Now come to the radial part of wave function. That is this part. The part of wave function which depends on angle theta and phi is the angular part of wave function. It depends on quantum number L and ml value. For different set of L and ml value, we get different expression for the angular part of wave function from the Schrodinger wave equation. You see here, this part is for the value L equal to 0 and ML equal to 0. That is, this is basically for the angular part of s orbital. This is basically for the angular part of wave function for the s orbital. You see here, for these three expression, the L value is 1. So these expression are the basically angular part of wave function for the orbital p. And see here the L value is 2. So these solutions are basically for the angular part of wave function for d orbital. Now, if you want to know the space in the atom in which these electrons belongs, then you need to plot this value in the polar coordinate. That is, if you plot this expression in the polar coordinate, then you will get the space where the s, p and d electron belongs. Suppose the case for s orbital. You see here, shape of, just you want to visualize the shape of s orbital. You see, this expression is a constant term, and this term is independent of angle theta and phi. That is, in all direction, that is, angular part of wave function does not depends on the angle theta and phi, and it has a only constant value. So if you plot this constant value at the every direction, then what will happen? Suppose this, you put this constant value at this direction, this direction, this direction and this direction, then overall it will give you a spherical shape. That is, the shape of the s orbital will be like this. This is the shape of your s orbital. S orbital, spherical in shape. That way, by plotting this value in the polar coordinate, we can get the shape of the different orbital. Now, we are trying to understand the shape of p orbital. Now, come to the shape of different p orbitals. You see, when L equal to 1 and ML equal to 0, then the angular part of wave function is that. That is, you see, this part is independent that is, this part does not depend on angle phi. It is only the function of cos theta. It has some constant term. Basically, this is the function of cos theta. You see here that theta has the value, it is between 0 degree to 180 degree. Now, if you want to visualize the shape of this orbital, first you plot cos theta versus theta. This will give you the shape of p orbital. You see here, for different value of theta, these are the values of cos theta. You see here, the maximum value of cos theta is 1 when theta is 0, and the minimum value of cos theta is -1 when theta is 180 degree. Now if we plot cos theta versus theta plot, you know what is theta? Theta is the angle between the radius vector and the z axis. So if the angle is, this angle is 15 degree, sorry, if the angle is 90 degree, so 0 degree, then the value is 1. Now if the angle is 15 degree, suppose this is your 15 degree, you see the value is 0.96. So the value will be this. Now come to 30 degree, you see the value is cos theta is 0.866. So this is the value. This way we can put the all values of cos theta into this plot, into this graph. Then the plot will be like this. This at 90 degree cos theta is 0. So this is the another point. This and this. Now if we join all these points, then the plot will be like this. You see, this is the plot for cos theta versus theta. Now you see this part is independent of angle phi. That is, for each value of phi, this shape is constant. Suppose you see, this is the identical shape. This is your z axis. Suppose this is your x axis. So at that point phi is 0 degree. Now if you increase the angle phi by suppose 30 degree, then the shape will be like this. Further increase, suppose theta is 90 degree, that is at that direction the part will be like this. So overall the shape of this orbital will be like this. You see, that is at all direction the shape will be like this, and finally you will got the shape of that orbital in the three-dimensional space, and it looks like a dumbbell shape. Suppose this will be like this. This is your dumbbell. You see here, this part is positive part and this part is negative part. If you plot this into the polar coordinate, the total shape of the orbital will be like this. This is a ball, this is a ball, and overall shape is dumbbell shape. This is the dumbbell, you know. And here you see, here ml value is 0 and this axis is z. So familiarly this orbital is known as pz orbit. pz orbit. That is, when ml value is 0, then and l equal to 1, that orbital will be the your pz orbital. This way we can predict the shape of pz orbital. Now come to other p orbital. Now come to the shape of p orbital having ml value equal to 1. You see, from that expression, this is the function of theta and phi. That is, it is theta and phi dependent. Now, if you want to visualize the shape of this orbital, first you consider this portion. First you only consider this portion and consider this portion as cos phi equal to 1. First consider. Then you plot sin theta versus theta. You see from this table, for different value of theta, sin theta, all the value of sin theta is positive. All the values are positive value. That is no negative value. And the value of sin theta is maximum when theta is 90 degree. You consider the z-axis and consider at a direction where the cos phi equal to 1. You know when cos phi equal to 1, when phi equal to 0, when phi equal to 0, then cos phi will be 1. That is, if that axis is x-axis, then cos phi will be equal to 1. Now, so this is your x-axis and this is your z-axis. Now plot sin theta versus theta. When theta will be 90 degree, then the value will be maximum 1. So this is your sin 90 degree. When theta equal to 0, then sin theta is 0. That will be this point. When theta is 15 degree, the value is 0.25. That is, the point will be that. This way we can plot all the values of sin theta, and this plot will be like this. This, and this. You see, if you join all these points, you will obtain a cycle. So this is the sin theta versus theta plot. Okay. You see, this is a circle along the x-axis when phi equal to 0. Now consider the all values of phi. That is, value of phi is in between 0 to 360 degree. What will happen? You see, the total angular part is the product of sin theta and cos phi, and you plot here only cos theta and cos theta versus theta, and the shape is like this. Now the shape of the p orbital having ml equal to 1 will be the product of cos phi. Then you have to multiply this size by the cos phi for the different value of cos phi. You see here, this is the cos phi value for different phi, and you know phi is the between 0 to 360 degree. See here, along x-axis cos phi equal to 1. Now if you want to plot this into this direction, what will be the value of phi in that direction? Suppose this is 30 degree, and you see here cos 30 is 0.866. So the size of this circle will reduce to some extent, and that will be like this. You see here that. And if you further increase the angle phi, that is, if your phi is 60 degree, then cos phi will be 0.5. Then what will be the shape of this circle? This size will further reduce, and this will be like this. You see here, this will be like this, and look at y direction, that is when phi is 90 degree or 270 degree, then cos phi is 0. Then the circle will not exist in that direction, that is at the y direction. See here, this is your x-axis. With increasing phi, the size of the circle reduced, and finally it becomes 0 at the y direction. And if you look at that side, this is here theta phi is between 270 to 360. You will see that type of structure, and here you see all the values of phi, the cos phi is positive. So finally you will see a ball shape and along the x-axis. Similar way, if you plot the cos phi value and multiply this with the sin theta value, you will also got a same type of sphere at the minus x axis. And here you see for the value in that region, that is in between between cos phi where phi is 90 to 270, here cos phi is negative. So in that direction you will also got a sphere, but which is negative in sign. So finally what you will see, what will be the shape of p orbital having ml equal to 1 like this. Is the dumbbell shape along the x axis. You see this is the positive part of wave function, this is the negative part of wave function, and you see this dumbbell is along the x axis. So this orbital is known as px orbital. Px orbital, that is here ml value equal to 1 and L value equal to 1. Now come to the p orbital having ml equal to minus 1. Now when ml equal to minus 1, then the expression for the angular part of wave function for p orbital will be like this. See here, this is the function of sin theta and sin phi. Like the px orbital, first you consider sin phi equal to 1, that is your y-axis. Then plot sin theta versus theta, and that will give you a circle like this along the y-axis. Now if you plot this circle for the different value of phi, you see when phi equal to 0, then sin phi equal to 0. So that is along x-axis there is no circle. So you will get a dumbbell shaped orbital like this along the y-axis. So this will be your py orbital. You see along x-axis, that is when phi equal to 0, then sin phi equal to 0, and when phi equal to 180 degree, then sin phi will be equal to 0. So along the x-axis there will be no lobe, but along the y-axis there will be two lobes. So this is the orbital having L equal to 1 and ml equal to 1. Here ml value is equal to minus 1. Now this way, by plotting the angular part of wave function for different orbital, for the d orbital, we can get the shape of the different d orbital. There are 5 d orbital, you know. This is dxy, dxz, dyz, dx square minus y square, and dz square. And you see here there are 4 lobes. 2 lobes are positive and 2 lobes are negative. And the shape can be present as like this. You see, this is the d orbital. This is positive part of wave function. This is positive part of wave function, and this is negative part of wave function, and this is negative part wave function. Now come to another point, that is nodal plane. That is nodal plane. If you consider the p orbital, the shape will be like this. See, this is your pz orbital. This is positive part of wave function. This is negative part of wave function. But you see, if this is your pz orbital, you imagine a plane in that direction. That is your, this is x, this is y. So in the xy plane, there is no angular probability, angular wave function. So nodal can be defined as a plane where there is no angular part of wave function. So this can be defined where the angular part is 0. You see, for pz orbital, for px orbital, this plane is the nodal plane. For py, orbital, this plane is the nodal plane. For pz orbital, this plane is the nodal plane. But here you see, for s orbital there is no nodal plane. If you look at the dy orbital, then you will see that there are two nodal planes. One nodal plane is in that direction and another nodal plane is in that direction. Simply we can write that number of nodal plane equal to L. That is, for s orbital you see L equal to 0, so nodal plane equal to 0. That is, s orbital has no nodal plane. You see, for p orbital L equal to 1, so here nodal plane equal to 1. For px, the nodal plane will be at that direction. For py, the nodal plane is that direction. You see, for d orbital, L equal to 2, so nodal plane will be equal to 2. For dxy, one nodal plane will be in that plane and another is in that direction. Now come to another point, that is Girardet and Angirardet concept. If you look at the px orbital, you see this is the center of inversion. If you imagine a straight line through the center of inversion, what you will see? You will see that at this side the wave function is positive and this side the wave function is negative. If that happens, then that type of orbital can be called as Angirardet orbital. Angirardet. You see, from that point, if you imagine a straight line, then at that point wave function is positive and here is negative. So these orbitals can be called as Angirardet. But if you look at the xy orbital, then see, suppose this dxz orbital, then this is your center of inversion. If you imagine a straight line through the center of inversion, then you will get the same sign of wave function at both sides of the center of inversion. If that happens, then that type of orbital called as Girardet orbital. Girardet. You see, for s orbital there are no positive or negative part, so your center of inversion will be here. If you imagine a straight line at any direction, then you see here the wave function is g plus, here also the wave function is plus. So this is also Girardet orbital. So this way you can predict which orbital is Girardet and which orbital is not a Girardet. That is your Angirardet orbital. Simply, s orbital you see, this is your Girardet orbital, p orbital is Angirardet orbital and d orbital is your G. If you look f orbital, that will also be Angirardet orbital. Okay. You know, atomic orbitals are denoted by S, P, D, F. Actually, S term comes from sharp, P from principal, D from diffuse and F from fundamental. One thing I would like to share with you, that there is no relationship of that type of nomenclature with the shape of the atomic orbital. Basically, these denote the collective shape of spectral lines generated by those types of orbital. You know, atomic spectra, In the late 90s, when scientists studied the atomic spectra of alkali metals, they found that in the atomic spectra, some lines are very sharp, some lines are very dense. That is, they looks like the principal line, and some lines of in the atomic spectra are diffused, and some lines are very fundamental. What is fundamental? Actually, the lines looks like the spectrum of hydrogen. So those are very fundamental. Later, the scientists discovered that the sharp lines basically comes due to the electronic transition having the of the atomic orbitals having the L value 0. That is, these lines comes from the for the transition where L equal to 0. So that's why the atomic orbitals which have the L value 0 are called as sharp orbital. Sharp orbital or simply S orbital. Similar way, the scientists found that the electronic transition which are responsible for the principal lines, basically the transition from the atomic orbital having the L value 1. So this way, the atomic orbital having L equal to 1 is known as principal orbital or simply denoted as p orbital. This way, basically these lines are coming due to the transition from the atomic orbital having L equal to 2 and these having L equal to 0. So this is the reason why this orbital called as S, P, D and F orbital. Another thing is that after the F orbital, the name of the atomic orbital basically comes alphabetical. That is, after F orbital, the next atomic orbital will be G. Then if any atomic orbital exists, then that will be your S orbital. Now come to another point. Angular probability density can be defined as the mode square of angular part of wave function, like the radial part of wave function. You see, if we plot this function in the three-dimensional space, that is against theta and phi, then there will be no negative part. So if we plot angular probability density in that three-dimensional space, then the shape will be like this, but there will be no negative sign. That is, in all direction this will be positive. This will be positive, 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 positive. So this is the plot for the angular probability density versus in the three-dimensional space. There is no negative part. So now come to the last topic of this lecture, that is the complete picture of atomic orbitals. If we mask the angular part of wave function and radial part of wave function, then what will be the picture of atom? You know, orbital wave function is the product of its angular part and its radial part. Now from the angular part, we know the shape of the orbital. If you consider S orbital, you know the angular part of S orbital gives you the idea about its shape. That is, S orbital is spherical in shape. Now if you consider the 1s orbital and 2s orbital, you know from the RDF versus R plot, the electron cloud density at different radial distance for 1s and 2s orbital. This is the expression for RDF of 1s orbital, and this is the expression for RDF of RDF for 2s orbital. Look here. Actually, in the previous lecture, I missed this portion of the RDF. Now, look carefully here. You see the 1s electron is spread up to 2 angstrom. Look here. And the 2s electron is spread up to 6 angstrom. So if you combine the angular part with the radial part, then what will happen? You have to plot the electron cloud density into the angular part. Then the 1s electron will be, 1s orbital will be like this. This is your 1s and this will be your 2s. Why? You see here. The electron cloud of 1s spread up to 2 angstrom. So the radius of 1s orbital will be 2 angstrom. Here R will be equal to 2 angstrom. Here the electron is spread up to 6 angstrom. So here the radius for 2s orbital will be equal to 6 angstrom. See the difference. That is, this is your 1s orbital and this is your 2s orbital. Look the difference. Now, now plot the electron cloud density at different radial distance. You see for 1s electron that near the nucleus there is no electron cloud. So if the nucleus is here, then there is no electron cloud density. Then if you increase the radial distance, then the electron cloud density will increase. That will be like this. That will be like this. But you see, at this point, at the Rmax, the electron cloud density will be maximum. So if we put this value, this will be like this. You see, from the nucleus, this is your Rmax, where electron cloud density is maximum. Then with increasing the distance, electron cloud density decreases. So again the cloud density will decrease. And finally stopped at that point. So this is your 1s orbital. Now come to 2s orbital. You see here, near the nucleus there is no electron cloud density. So this is your nucleus. Now look here, with increasing the radial distance, the electron density increases. This is your Rmax 1 and this is Rmax 2. So with increasing the distance, the electron cloud density will increase. Then Rmax 1 will come. That is, here this is your Rmax and here the electron cloud density is locally maximum. So this is your Rmax 1. Now again you increase the distance, then electron cloud density will decrease. So electron cloud density will decrease. Finally you got that point. What is this? This is your nodal point. Here the electron cloud density is 0. So there will be a point. You see here, between this region and this region there is no electron cloud density. After that, electron cloud density will further increase. Then you will find the Rmax2 value. This is your Rmax2. This is your Rmax2. And further increasing the radial distance, the electron cloud density will decrease. That will be like this. And finally it will vanish at the 6 Angstrom. You note here, this point there is no electron cloud density. This is your nodal point. So this is the beauty of radial part of wave function and angular part of wave function. By this way you can differentiate what is your 1s orbital and what is your 2s orbital. Now come to p orbital. You know, it is dumbbell shaped, and if you consider 2p and 3p and consider their RDF versus R plot, the plots will be like this. Now draw the 2p and 3p. You see here 2p electrons spread up to 6 Angstrom and 3p electrons spread up to 10 Angstrom. So 2p will be like this. This is your 2p orbital. The nucleus is here, and 3p will be like this. This is your 3p, and the nucleus is here. And this distance is 6 Angstrom, and this distance is 10 Angstrom. Okay. Now see here, from that point if you increase the distance, then electron cloud density increases. So from that point electron cloud density will increases and you will get the maximum electron cloud at that point. So this will be your Rmax. And see the direction of R. The electron is, you can find this electron at both sides of the nucleus. If this is pz orbital, then this is your plus z axis and this will be your minus z axis. So similar way you can also find this electron into the along the minus z axis. So along that axis the electron distribution will be like this. Here, and this is your also Rmax. Now consider the electron distribution for the 3p orbital. You see here, with increasing the distance electron cloud density increases. This is your Rmax 1, this is Rmax 2. So this will be like this. This is your Rmax 1. Again electron cloud density will decrease and there will be a point where there is no electron cloud density. This is your node. So there will be a gap. This is gap, this is the node. Again after the node, with increasing the radial distance the electron cloud density will increase. That is, this will be like this, and then finally R max 2 will come. This is your R max 2, and then after that point the electron cloud density will decreases and finally it goes to 0. So that will be this is your 2p orbital and this is your 3d orbital. In that direction, if this is plus z direction and this is minus z direction, this way you will see that that will be the mirror image of this. That is, this is your R max 1, then node will come, then again R max 2 will come. This is your R max 2, then goes to 0, and this is your node. Now I hope that you understood the electron cloud distribution in the different atomic orbitals. Now consider pi bond between 2pz and 2pz 3pz. You see here, this is a 2pz orbital and this is a 2pz orbital, and their maximum electron cloud density is in that area. They are same in size, so there will be a better electron overlapping. But if you consider here, the maximum electron cloud density is here and here, but for 3pz the maximum electron cloud density is here and here. Look here, near the maximum electron cloud density of 2pz there is a node in the 3pz. So there the electron overlapping will not so strong that in the case of 2pz. So this pi bond is more strong than this pi bond. Okay. Here I would like to mention another thing, that is, psi orbital can be expressed as the product of psi radial and psi angular. This part depends on quantum number n and l. This part depends on quantum number l and m. Beside quantum number l and ml, there is another quantum number, that is spin quantum number. In the Hertz studies, you will see that there will be a dependence on the spin part. That is, the total orbital wave function can be defined as the product of radial part of wave function, angular part of wave function, and spin part of wave function. So that's all about the atomic orbital. Now this is a very critical time for the human civilization, and the culprit is coronavirus. But we all together will resist the spreading of coronavirus, and for that we are staying at our own home exclusively. So dear students, it is my request to all of you, please continue your studies from home, and for that you take the help of that kind of videos. So if you like this video, please comment in the comment box and subscribe this channel. Thank you.